and he comes up.
Can you tell who that is just by talking to him now that you're walking in the living rooms and you're seeing more and more and more?
We have different attributes: smart, tough, fast, disciplined with character.
Yep.
We're looking at now quarterbacks are different.
Yeah.
We want mother, father, dual parent.
Mm-hmm.
We want that kid to be 3, 5 and up because he got to be smart.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad decisions off the field at all, because he has to be a leader of men. It's so many different attributes in what we look for when we see a quarterback. And you would love a coach's son. Somewhere that the coaches coached him, and I'm not going down my road. I see you smiling because
I know who your quarterback is right now.
He's talking about my son. I didn't just build a template for my son, but that's what really we look for in quarterbacks. Different positions are different. Like O lineman, I look for dual parent homes,
right?
A strong father that they adhered to,
right?
Smart kid, at least 3.3. and above.
You're also describing Hurts.
Yeah, tough.
Well. I mean,
physical. I mean, offensive lineman. Defensive lineman is totally opposite.
What do you mean?
Single mama. Trying to get it. He's on free lunch. I mean, I'm talking about just trying to make it. He's trying to rescue mama. Like, mama barely made the flight.
Trying to get out the mud.
And I want him to just go get it. It's a whole different attributes that you look for in different positions, and we have that stuff just chronicled. We know what we want, and we go get it.
Deion Sanders here on the Rich Eisen Show.
All right. Just close that. All right. So there you have it. Those are Deion Sanders, a.k.a. Coach Primetime, requirements for different positions. I don't need specs for this. So I thought it was really interesting. It was discussed on another podcast, and somebody asked me, did I know about it? Didn't know about this at all. I think it's really interesting. As a person who studied football, played football, studied Deion as a kid, and used to play flag football, played plenty of football games with Tez and Ness. Love the game of football, watch the game of football. I saw this and had some strong feelings, and I thought that this was a good topic to bring to Man Cave. Why? Why did I think it was a good topic to bring to Man Cave? Well, one, he's in a room full of white dudes. It's only one other black dude there. I understand that they're all former football players. You could see the helmets of the teams that they're a part of or were a part of in front of each of them. And that stood out to me. I said, okay, 3 white dudes in the room out of the 4 people who run the show. Very interesting. Number 2, I thought it was very interesting that not only did he want different things from the household of each player, but he wanted different grade point averages. He's saying 3.5, that's 3.5. He's saying 3.3, that's 3.3 out of a 4.0 GPA. That stood out to me as well. I thought that was also interesting. But I'll be very honest, what was most interesting to me was when he began to speak about the defensive lineman and speak about how he wants someone who's struggling and hungry, how he wants someone who, as you just heard, has a single parent and it should be a single mother, how you guys are so broke, mom can barely make the games and the flights, and this is someone who's just basically a beast who's going to chase after it. And so I thought, wow, look at this man, this icon, this legend who many of us have grown up studying, admiring, loving, saying that he wants someone from these conditions. And in fact, it's a requirement that he said his entire team has, ready to go, categorized, and, everything is there ready to follow the blueprint of how they recruit the members of their college teams, because that's also very important. This is not the NFL we're talking about. We're talking about college football teams. And so I said, man, if I have a strong reaction, maybe some of the other fellas do too. And I thought that this was a good topic to bring to a room full of fellas. And so, fellas, I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'll definitely share mine as well.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is how many other individuals adopt that same mindset, i.e. NFL, i.e. owners, the culture of it within itself, because that sounds like exploitation to me. That's no different than exploitation. I actually watched it twice because although we joked about his confidence and borderline arrogance, he expressed those things oh so confidently.
Yes.
Jay, would you say?
Yes.
He expressed them very
Well,
confidently.
he's basically saying their requirements to be part of the team.
Yeah, but some people would, we have different levels of mindset. So some people would absorb that humorously, because he was being quite humorous at, while he was delivering it too, but he was yet confident about what he was saying. Like what you said, like this is serious, but it's exploitation. Those things ain't no different than exploitation. He's somewhat exploiting those children to a certain degree. He's exploiting their upbringing, their struggle. But also, like I said, man, the world is watching. I also think about how many other individuals think like that don't look like him. And if they said that, it would be outrage. People would be in uproar. Oh my God, how could he say such a thing? Cancel him.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen. But see, it's different when he says it, because when he says it, it don't come across as racial. It's discriminatory.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? It's about who's delivering what message at what point in time that is being delivered, right? Ain't that what politics is about, gentlemen?
Absolutely.
Right. I would love to touch more on this, but I'm curious to see what you brothers think as well. But that's the first thing that came to mind was who else is adopting this, and exploitation.
Well, before everybody else goes, let me just ask, and I'll ask, everybody can answer. Do you think that this is how it should go? Do you think your upbringing should dictate whether you're good enough, whether you're eligible to
everybody
play a position in college football?
Come on. Yeah. I mean, we know the answer to that already. Okay. We know that. This is... for me, I heard this. I heard about this already, but I didn't see it. This is funny because it seems like we went from the days of, remember when we all played football as children? Well, at least me, when I was small, you almost thought like only white people played quarterback. Only white people were offensive linemen. Black was running back. Defensive backs was black.
Right.
And wide receiver, right? Like, that's gone now. And him saying this is establishing a whole new stereotype now. You know what I mean? You can't be a single mama child and be a leader, which is not true. What if you take care of a bunch of brothers and sisters? We don't know. You're leading there. You know what I'm saying? You got, I try to think about how in any way positive can he spin saying hunger, struggle. There's no way to really spin it except saying that the kid's tougher. He's been exposed to more. He's tougher, so he'll be a tougher defender. But I mean, there's no way to spin it. There's no way to belittle a single parent child. Like, and all that stuff. It was like a bad comedy material. And that's what he did. It was like a bad stand-up where we kind of go, huh. Yeah, you got a lot of stereotypes there. Like it was like that bad. It really was that bad. And like they said, how many coaches really think that way? I mean, it opens up a lot of other questions too. I mean, yes, well, yeah, seriously, and it opens up this.
That don't look like him.
Well, it opens up the discussion.
Because now it gets cringeworthy.
To a two-parent home. We're not even talking mother, father, just two-parent home, and the importance of it.
Talk about it.
Single parent home, but I mean but the way he's approaching it is horrible. It's really horrible. To question somebody's intelligence because I want them struggling. Those defensive linemen struggling. They just try to get mama can't make really bad form on his part.
The ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's a bad narrative? It's a bad narrative. It's a bad narrative.
And not only does it question the intelligence, he's questioning the character and the listening skills. Because think about what he said when he said quarterback, right? And then when he switched to offensive lineman, he says somebody who had a strong father and that they're going to be able to take good instructions. They're going to adhere to that father figure. Oh, so people from a single mother household, they don't listen to men. They only listen to women. Because that has nothing to do with their level of intellect. You're talking about their character at this point. And some of the people here are from single mama households. So I said, "Oh, this is going to be a good topic for the pod."
And I'm over here with the two. I already saw it when he was like 2 pair. I was like, oh man, this because it's like, oh man, I gotta tell the story. It's funny. I had a thought earlier, right? And it's crazy because I thought about like the strong advice that my father gives, right? And it's funny, in that same thought, I thank my mom for being just as strong and as positive as he is. Mm-hmm. Like, I could not give him his credit without acknowledging her. I couldn't acknowledge her without acknowledging him. You understand what I'm saying? Yep. In that sense. And that's probably where he's going with it. He's saying like, okay, this child might be able to absorb both perspectives, but that's subjective. You understand what I'm saying? Like, a lot of things he was saying that like it was absolute. At least it was absolute to him.
Yes, and his staff.
It was absolute to them. You know, and this is why I say it's a tricky narrative, because, you know, I just got to say this real quick before y'all go into this. What we say as black folks, I don't even want to say black folks, right? Because that's a title that was man-made and given. As melanated individuals, what we say publicly with conviction in front of the world, it's very detrimental.
It can be.
Depending on it can be very, depending on what you're saying, how you saying it, who you saying it to. You seen the room he was in.
That's why I mentioned that.
You understand what I'm saying? I remember I saw something where this young lady, it was, I don't remember where the message came from, but I remember the example, right? So this young lady had wrote a book, she had pitched it, and the lady was saying like, we can't really push it, we can't, and she was trying to say it, but she couldn't say it. So the young lady, she's colored, she goes, what is it? Is it too black? She goes, yeah, that's it right there. She said, well, why didn't you just say that? She said, because if I say it,
right,
it's racist, it's discriminatory. But if you say it, then it's, you know, it's not offensive at all. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm saying that to say him being the messenger, speaking upon who he's, you know, mentoring or who he's scouting, you know, what they may look like and, you know, where they come from. Because you put 2 and 2 together, that sounds like impoverished communities.
Absolutely. Really the term free lunch, it paints the clearest picture out of everything he said. You know what I mean? Because struggle is a vague term. Right. I mean, listen,
specifically.
Yeah. Because to say struggle, you coming from struggle, that could be anybody, anywhere. But to say they're on free lunch, that's a very specific demographic.
Because what's the definition of struggle is to what? To struggle what?
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's vague. To say you come from struggle just means you don't have, you don't have the silver spoon upbringing. But that's still a very wide umbrella until you get to the point when he says they're on free lunch.
Yeah, if you're struggling, you're having a hard time with something. I could be struggling carrying these bags upstairs.
So that's a wide umbrella. But once you say free lunch,
once you say single mother, once you say trying to get mama out once you start coming up with these, you know,
it starts shrinking. The picture starts getting very, very, very specific. Let's let the other fellas chime in for a moment because we're hogging the limelight.
I've been quiet because I this is my world, right? So to say that Deion Sanders is unique in his approach, he's not. He is not. There's no way that this is a new idea. This is a very old idea. If you look at the NFL back in the days, let's say before the Redskins won the Super Bowl, you have to have a white quarterback, right? And let's play the stereotypical card. The white quarterback typically had both parents, right? If you look at the offensive linemen, again, mostly white. If you look at defensive linemen, mostly melanated brothers, right? Same for wide receivers, same for running back and other positions, right? This is an idea that's been passing on from generation to generation. This is Deion Sanders being a victim of his environment to not change the narrative. The disappointing part is not what he said. It's the fact that he's still going with the narrative of what he was brought up to. And for this whole thing, if it's a culture shock that the NFL football, well, let's say professional, any level of football that involves you to getting to the bag. Everything is run in an old, antiquated style. If you look at the combine itself, it's the same exact thing. When back in the days on the farm, they used to measure a slave's strength, agility, and ability. That's what football has dropped down to, and has been about, and has never changed. Because let's bring in the GOAT. Tom Brady had a shit 40 time, right? Tom Brady had a shit showing, right? Tom Brady had the shit drafted in the 6th round, right? Almost to be Mr. Irrelevant, right? Mr. Irrelevant, for those who don't know, is the last pick of the NFL. Shout out to Brock Purdy for making it to the playoffs as Mr. Irrelevant. But this is the mentality that's been going on since the dawn of the NFL, where Richie Cunningham wasn't supposed to be successful. Donovan McNabb wasn't supposed to be successful. And I'm so sorry that I forgot the name of the first black quarterback to win the NFL. To win, Doug Williams, to win the Super Bowl. He was not supposed to win. If you want to look at the Vegas odds in that Super Bowl,
facing Elway,
they were
facing Elway.
It was abysmal how underdog they were because of Doug Williams. Yeah, against Elway, who's the golden goose in the NFL. Elway, the guy who turned down the Yankees to play football. Right? What did Doug Williams do? Shut them up.
That's right.
He won. He beat John Elway, the prodigal son, who was an instant Hall of Famer the second he touched grass. Right? This is the mentality that we constantly have. Am I giving an excuse to Deion for now? No, because as a person who's a leader, and we'll get to that in a second, a person who's supposed to be a leader, a person who has 3, 4 Super Bowl rings in his archive, a man who inspired, because he won 2 with the Cowboys,
one with the Niners.
A man who inspired Ray Lewis to be a better man, right? This is a guy, and this is narrative. You went to the JUCO to inspire these same type of wide receivers that you were looking for, these meal ticket people, right? To become better players and become a successful program.
With Christian values.
And now you're going in the opposite direction.
And this is
right
unacceptable. You know what I'm saying? It's unacceptable.
Talk about it.
You know, so
it is. It is.
Wow.
It is. It's. I'm not comparing apples to oranges, but this is the Kanye syndrome all over again.
In what way?
In what way?
Wow.
You become so holier than thou, you forget to see what the problem is, and you become the problem.
I like that.
Bars. Okay.
Instead of motivate a leader is a man who motivates the men around him or the people around him. Let's say men. That's what a leader is. I'm gonna tell you something real quick. I get the mentality behind it. I get you want that person struggling to be in aggressive positions because you want the dog in them, right? But I'm gonna tell you something, Jay. When we play football, who's quarterback? Did I have both parents? No.
And guess what I don't do? Quarterback.
What?
And guess what I had?
Yeah.
2 parents.
What? Yeah, both parents. Yeah. You had you came up with the nuclear household, you know? The 4 and the pet.
I was commentating.
I didn't have that.
I had 2 parents.
But to get back into it, I will put in quotations the logistics of it, how logical it seems, the personality types. And I'm going to tell you this has been happening forever. There are coaches out there that will not recruit a black quarterback. Nope. He runs too much. They will tell you run too much. I can tell you this, and I love Andy Reid. He learned his lesson with McNabb. He told McNabb, stop running, throw the ball. And McNabb did that. They won games, but not as many. Why? Because you became a one-dimensional quarterback. But let's look at the Super Bowl this year.
2 black quarterbacks.
2 black quarterbacks.
a damn good game.
None of them traditional in the aspects because Mahomes can dance out the pocket and Jalen Hurts
as a
led the
neutral, that was
league
a
this
damn
year.
good game.
I'm not
that
saying
was good.
I'm not saying that as a biased fan. You know?
Oh man, that was bad.
I love it. Love it.
I'm quiet because I lost money.
But my thing is, as a person who has that much influence to not only my generation but to the generations above, because if you play Madden, he's a rare card to get. He's a rare card to get for your MUT team, right? You can get a cheap Deion, but you want that good prime time, that one that plays both ways in special teams, the one that I remember, Mr. I'm always on the field. This guy inspires people. Now you leading with this narrative? Nah, man. Prime time was my first jersey.
Yeah, me too. I won't lie.
And after watching that, I was like,
too, during the
yes, I was a Cowboys fan for.
It's all right. Nobody's perfect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but primetime was my Jordan. That was my Deion Sanders was my guy. Mr. 4-2 ran the 4-2 runs to his car. But that's him going, and that's the Deion that I was expecting. Mr. Anti-Authority, I'm just gonna run a 4-2 and I'm out. They're gonna draft me high anyways. Because I know my value. Right? And you got these players who are literally killing themselves in a combine in hopes of getting their, a high draft, because it does mean better money. It does mean a better opportunity. It does mean a higher chance of success. But if you're going to think that this is new or this is like
he's assimilated perfectly.
Oh, this is off thinking. No, it's common. It's common sense in the football space.
Yes. Yep.
But if you look at it too, look at the teams he played for. Right, he also played for Jerry Jones, who has the same mentality. If you want to get into semantics as well, how long did it take? And listen, I can say this as a non-Cowboys fan. How long did Dak Prescott go to get that contract? I could tell you the only reason he got that contract was because Tony Romo retired. Of course. Because that year when Tony Romo was starting and Dak Prescott went in, Dak was having the better year. And guess what? They wanted to put Tony back in.
I remember that.
My man. Herm Edwards said you play to win the game. Right? And when we all play, if we're all playing a football game, if one of us have a bad day, listen, you ain't got the dog in you right now. We got to play this game. I'm sorry. You play to win the game. You put the best men on that you have on that field. That's going to take that game and take control of that. People have off days. People aren't up to snuff. People didn't do their homework. But you can see how in the mentality that's indoctrined within the NFL. And yes, it's about time that we're starting to see different approaches. We're starting to see different quarterbacks. And it's not just the quarterback. The quarterback is the easiest one to pick on because we can see that it's 75% one shade, But, it's a shame that these people, it's a shame that brothers got to take forever to get a contract. Or the biggest slap in the face with McNabb. How do you go to the Super Bowl? And the Eagles, I understand why the Eagles let him go. They had to move on. But the Redskins signed this man to a contract. A crap load of money. Zero guaranteed. Explain that. Because you know why? We can cut you at any time. And they did. He went to the Vikings after that.
Absolutely. All right, let's let Nestor chime in, and then I'll give my thoughts on it.
I don't have much to expand on this. I mean, it's crazy old head boomer mentality. That's all it is. It's just he has an idea set in his head, and he may think he's doing something different, but it does feed into the same thing, especially when he speaks on it. Because he's just putting those ideas into people's head. And I'm pretty sure jumping in the comments of that video, you're going to see people that are like, yep, the two parents, and that proves it's white dudes that's quarterbacking because they're the ones with two parents and this and that. And that's probably the conversation going on in the comments of that video. So it just feeds into all that, and it doesn't make sense. And it has nothing to do with really them on the field. Like, the person at home that you're interviewing and going to see in front of their parents isn't the same person in the locker room, isn't the same person on the field. And it gives you an idea of the kind of person that they are, but it doesn't really tell you what kind of player they are. It doesn't tell you what they're gonna do when they get on the field at all.
Right.
Real quick, I know you're gonna go.
Wait, well, Nestor, were you done though?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Janelle. Sorry, go ahead, Tez.
So my thing is, if and when, or let's say if or when, I don't want to put hope into this stock, but if or when it works, what do we say then?
If and what works?
The mentality. Let's say his Colorado team that has no success, or has little to no success prior to him coming there, now becomes a prominent team in the Pac-12.
I would say, I would say he still picked the best.
Then what do we say?
All-American player. That's what I say. I mean, I don't think. I think he's really thinking that way, but he's still picking a top player. You know what I mean?
But I don't see nobody that love football not wanting to play hard for Deion Sanders or wanting to play for him, period. Like, you feel me? If Jay signed me tomorrow, like, dude, are you kidding me? Like,
I mean, yes.
You feel me? Whatever. I mean, who gives a damn what circumstance I'm in? Like, he gave me the opportunity of a lifetime. You understand what I'm saying? Like, for some, it's an opportunity of a lifetime.
I can counteract that with two players. Ryan Leaf, number 1 draft pick, went to the Chargers, instant bust. Played 16 games in 4 years in the NFL, became a bust. He went ahead of Peyton Manning, right? Jamarcus Russell, picked number 1 by the Raiders. He had the privilege. He had the privilege to have the skill set to get there. Nothing in the NFL. He's honestly a joke in the NFL about moving up to draft. So I understand that people most people will take advantage. If you say, yo, Jay, if Joe says, I need you on the team, of course, I'm going to take it seriously. I'm going to give him my best. But you got a lot of these people. And the thing is, we have to look into the mentality of certain people as well. If I know I got that talent, I got that egoness, I got that cockiness, I ain't got to practice. I ain't going to practice. I don't have to do it. I'm better than you. But come football time, I didn't read the script. I didn't read the defensive schemes or nothing. I go again and I throw 4 picks. And then the guy who's doesn't run faster than me, doesn't throw harder than me, doesn't, who quote unquote doesn't want it more than me, wins the game or puts the game back into contention. There's lots of little factors in that.
Just thinking back on the whole thing, just so many stereotypes. So what you say? No,
you can go. I'm sorry.
You get a 2-parent player, and you could control them more. But them wild boys, single mama boys, just put them on defense, let them run wild. You know what I mean? It just the whole thing just is ugly every time you think of everything he's saying. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But look at Johnny Manziel, right? Both parents, kid came from money, and he's out here fucking treating the game like it's a piece of shit.
But let's not get stuck on those examples he gave, and let's focus more on the mindset.
But this is the example. He says he wants a quarterback with both parents, right?
No, I understand that.
Who comes up from a humble, he didn't even say a humble upbringing, just an upbringing that was solid and stern, right? So Johnny Manziel had that from his father. Johnny Manziel has it from his mom. They have money. He never had a struggle. He was supposedly a leader with the Augies, and what happened? The guy became a joke in the NFL. He was barely successful in the Canadian Football League. The XFL made a rule for him not to play.
But that's why I'm more focused on the mindset. You understand what I'm saying? The mindset that Deion is actually expressing in this interview. So confidently. He sees nothing wrong with what he's saying. He sees nothing wrong with his actions. He's like Jay said. He said, "Yo, this is the criteria." He actually remember he said it, and this is the criteria. You feel what I'm saying? This is what we need
and that's
specifically.
And I'm agreeing with that. I'm just saying that Johnny Manziel will fit that criteria and look at what he became.
Well,
so
go ahead.
No, go, Days, go.
No, because I'm saying I'm not even arguing with his points. I'm just saying sometimes we could get so fixated on the examples that's given. You don't want to get away from the fact that like he's actually moving with this mindset. Like we could focus on, he said the quarterback said he want 2 parents for the quarterback, or he want 1 for the defensive lineman. We could focus on those specific examples he gave, but what about the mindset as a whole? You understand what I'm saying? And it's very predatory, very, very predatory. You understand what I'm saying? I must say, and with such influence, such strong influence that he got, you get what I'm saying? Like that's what makes it so dangerous, that he's the one delivering the message. But like they explained, there's other individuals that has had this as their regimen for years. You understand what I'm saying? But the fact that he's here now with this new opportunity, expressing it so openly, I think is what's problematic
and concerning.
Right. And so that's my thing, right? My thing is there's a lot of layers to this situation, right? So you got Deion, prime time. This is a guy that, like Tez said, for a lot of people, this was their Michael Jordan. This was the person they grew up idolizing, studying, including myself. I anybody who knows me from when I was a wee lad, I wasn't naturally good at football. I was not some all-star who just came out and was great. I sucked at football. I just wanted the opportunity to play. But I knew, even as a young kid, 7, 8, 9 years old, 10 years old, hey, I suck. I got to find a way to get better. Well, how did I get better? I had an awesome dad and mom who sat me down and said, hey, we understand you like it and you're not liking the results when you're playing the game. Here's how you can get better. And we went to school. My dad sat me down and we would watch ESPN for hours. I would sit there and take notes. He would record it on videotape. We would go back and watch it. Okay, this is what Deion Sanders is doing on defense. Oh, you see how he positions himself? Okay, cool. Oh, look what Jerry Rice does. When he cuts to the post, first he does this, then he does that. And it was like an entire process. And so I'm saying that to say, yeah, I grew up loving Deion Sanders and loving football. That's what makes this hurt even more. To see this same legend, this same icon who I studied and admired saying, hey, it's not who's the best person in the game. It's not. It's not the person with the most skill. It's not the person who's best for the position. It's the person who fits these requirements first. Mm-hmm. So that means if I was a kid in college right now who've been studying and busting my ass and doing my thing, and he said the person got to have a 3.3. So that means if I got a 3.8, I can't do it. I'm too smart for the position. Sorry. Got to have a 3.3. Can't do it if you got a 3.8. Okay, no problem. So now I got to drop my grades to make the team. That's weird. But all right, cool. Forget about that part. Let's move on. Oh, you got 2 parents in your life? Sorry, you can't play for this team. But so it don't even matter what I've done. Just because of the fact that I was lucky enough to have both parents for most of my life, I can't play for the man. Yo, that's fucked up. Now we take it a level deeper, which is that this is a systematic situation, which is what Tez was saying, right? This is not just Deion. The problem is we only know this because Deion is arrogant enough and ballsy enough to say this publicly. He's the cool, black, young, new coach. That's what makes it even worse. That this is systematic. The cool, young, black coach is going up there and saying, yo, this is what has to happen to play for me and my team. This what got to happen to play on my team. So not only is it a legend, not only is it one of our people bringing our people down, we now realize there's a deeper, darker criminal link, as Jay-Z once said. This is now a systematic thing that he's just bringing to the forefront. And so it really makes you think about a couple of things, some of which Tez kind of spoke about, right? Where this ain't new. Sadly, this been happening for eons at this point. But why is that? I want to go a level deeper into it. Why? Because this is a race-based game. Sorry, not sorry. There's a reason the NFL Combine is the way Tez said, which is why I applauded him when he said it. Yeah, we trying to see what our stock of slaves can do. That's why the NFL Combine is mirrored off of that same system, right? That's why and now I got to get a little political because it's a little political. That's why when people were taking knees, they were getting kicked off the team. You're an NFL quarterback who's too loud and too rebellious. You got to go. Sorry. Oh, y'all want to take a knee? You know what? There's a lot of hoopla going around. We had a meeting and the NFL has decided, yes, black players and anyone who wants to take a knee, you could do it, but it got to be in the locker room. Why? Because this is a system in place where race and the dollars that we make off advertising matter way more than what any young man can do, than what any young man brings to our bottom line. Because let's be clear, the black people sell the most jerseys. I know Tom Brady's the greatest, but he's not the number one sold jersey in the NFL if you look it up. And he's been playing a long time. A lot of those years, he was not the number one sold jersey. Guess what? Still doesn't matter. And now this goes deeper because this is college. We're talking a lot about the NFL, but this is college. And to get to the NFL, to get to those millions of dollars, to be able to take your mother out of the struggle that this man is talking about, you got to get to that NFL. That's how you get to the bag, as Tez said. You got to be in the NFL to get that guaranteed money, those big contracts, those sports contracts, the Nike deals and everything else. But I can't get there because there's a system in place that says, hey, you came from a certain household, you're not eligible to do this position. Sorry, not sorry. This is how it goes if you want to play ball. So it's not about how much you've studied the film. It's not about the fact that you've been busting your ass, staying fit, staying in shape, and staying the best since you were 7 or 8 years old, because that's how it is for a lot of these young men. They didn't start playing in college. They've been playing since way back. They've been playing since 7 and 8 years old. That's not good enough. Sorry. Mm-hmm. You got to meet these bogus racist requirements that are all throughout the system if you want to even have a chance at making it to the big leagues. Because remember, everybody that play college ball does not get a guaranteed NFL contract.
Correct.
So not only are we going to say that, what happened to us?
It's about 5%.
So all of this for 5%. Think about how many kids are playing college ball. Think about the level of scrutiny they're going to make this team. And so I just wanted to shine a light on this situation because some of us have children. Some of us will have grandchildren one day. And those kids might want to play some good old football, the American sport. And this system is in place that says, well, some of y'all not going to be eligible, not because of your grades, not because of your skill level, but simply because of your mama and your papa. That's fucked up. And am I mad at Deion specifically? I'm disappointed. But I also am smart enough to know he's only one coach in a system of coaches, in a system that says this is how we do it. And I'm disappointed that Deion, who's known as a very rebellious person, is not being that rebellious person. Maybe it's because of agendas. As the clip said, his son is playing for this team. So maybe he's doing it because his son is on the team. Maybe he's trying to just be a college university coach for the rest of his life. I don't know what his agenda is, but I feel like, yeah, maybe that got something to do with it. Maybe that one cool young black coach is not enough to change the system completely, but it is still disappointing to me that he's not trying. And I think if you couple that with what he did at the last college he was at, Deion is pretty fucked up right now. And that's sad to see because, again, I too grew up loving and studying. Go ahead, say it.
He's OJ.
Talk about it. What does that mean?
I'm not black. I'm OJ.
Right.
I'm not Deion. I'm Primetime. You know when Primetime walk in. What, you want me to bring him with me? Don't make me bring him with me. I'm Deion right now, but I'll bring Primetime with me. He'll walk right in. You'll see him as soon as he walk in. Don't make me bring Primetime. They didn't ask for Primetime. They asked for Deion. So I brought Deion.
That's what he said at the beginning of the video. We didn't put that part
verbatim.
up. Yeah,
verbatim.
Absolutely. And so It's a lot. It's layered, and I just wanted to bring it to this platform where a bunch of us average Joes could speak on what's going on. Go ahead, Tez. I see you.
So to piggyback on
Yeah.
some things you said, it is a system. It is a systematic stereotype of racism, if we want to put it in that regard. The whole kneel thing, if you look at it, it hinders our, you know, our constitution, our freedom of speech, right? What, you know, let's break it down to brass tacks. Me kneeling should mean nothing
Correct.
to you, right? But because people take it a step beyond, because everybody's extra, we can go into, you know, everybody knows the semantics. A soldier had told someone, if you feel some type of way, take a knee.
That's what
That's
the
a
soldier
soldier.
said would be the
But
most
now,
respectful thing. That's important to say.
yes.
Sorry.
But unfortunately, other people saw it as a sign of
Yeah.
disrespect because it's not stat quo, right? It's not the norm. It's disrespectful. How dare you? This is what I live for. This is what we play for. Every baseball game, every football game, every basketball game. You know, the national anthem has to play, and everybody stands up.
Or
One player made a change and said, "I can't stand for this anymore." But because somebody put a ripple in the fabric of society, he became shunned. He became blackballed. He became, you know, a meme at a point, right? And that's the mindset of the systematic oppression within sports. If you look at it, we can go to. I'm gonna get into college real quick too. If you look at it, it's a system that set minorities and people, you know, people from horrible upbringings to succeed in college. Up until now, if you had no money in your bank account, if your parents were broke, you struggled because you could think about it. You have to go to the gym in the morning. You have to do your 2-a-days. You have to do all your homework and all your exams. And on top of that, work a job so you can get some food, or even better, pay for your books.
Because that football scholarship ain't covering everything.
But not everybody gets a full ride. Yeah, not everybody gets a full ride, right? So you can still be a star player, and guess what? Jimmy Johnson ain't got no full ride. That's how it is. And that's the mentality that they encourage is, oh, you want it, you got to work, you got to
pick yourself up by the bootstraps.
Yeah, and you got to prove it to us that you want this, that this means something to you. But again, with these owners like Jerry Jones, and I pick him out because I can, he wants the most competitive people out there. Where's Odell when you need him in the playoffs? Because he had a little snafu at a strip club. I mean, on the airplane. You know, that's not showing the competitiveness. I understand there's more to that. I'm just saying for example. But
great example.
You know, it's the antiquated mentality that, unfortunately, as much as we say it's gone or that, you know, it's better now, it's still there. It's still there. And the disappointing thing is, Deion, who I'm sure has been a victim, as almost all the football athletes and sports athletes from the 80s onward have experienced once, you know, in some regard in their career, is not making a change. That's my problem with the situation.
Same. All right. Anybody else want to chime in before we move on?
Well, I'm still looking at the whole the overall aspect of it. Mm-hmm. You know, like you know, it opens up a world of thoughts to not just that environment itself, but like I said, the narrative and how it now equates to other things, other sports, you know, baseball, basketball, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. You know, and what those environments might reflect. I don't see nothing no different. Like when you look at it, it's always the same story about you know, the struggling kid who didn't have the pops, and you know, moms bust her ass, boom, boom, boom. So, he definitely want to get moms up out the struggle. They was actually, I saw something where they was talking about John Wall, and they had mentioned that his mom's had spent her last on some tennis shoes for him. So the lights had got turned off, and then they were saying like from that day on, he was just like dedicated to like getting his mom, never seeing that situation again. Like his mom's never having to experience that again. Like we not I'm not being insensitive about the situation. We all struggle. It's like I said, in my earlier statements, exploitation. It's definitely exploitation at its highest. And they always look to us. My brother, he likes to say certain things. Like he said, certain things with us, it just look better. It sound better. We look better when we going through it. Like it just on us, it hit different. You understand what I'm saying? Like, certain people probably wouldn't even be able to handle some of the struggles and some of the things that we endured. You know, and for some people, it makes for great content. Sorry to say
yeah,
it.
and that's why I mentioned who's in that room, because
Correct.
look at whose show he's on.
Correct.
That's why I mentioned it.
That was a great way to end it.
Thank you. All right, let's move on.